I'm Dustin Harder, and this is Keep On Cookin'. Hello and welcome to Keep On Cookin', the only podcast dedicated to plant-based cookbooks. I'm your host, Dustin Harder, and listen, some shows serve wisdom, others serve glamour. We're serving lukewarm leftovers, and as always, a side of trauma. Please welcome my husband to the podcast, David Rossetti. How you doing, Roro?
I'm good. I'm serving a little mini glamour as well.
You're always serving glamour, my love.
You are.
No, I'm the one serving the trauma.
The trauma.
Trauma with a capital T.
The trauma and the drama.
Yes. Well, listeners, we have been busy,
Mm-hmm.
which is why there was a break, and then David was traveling, so he wasn't able to do the last few intros with me. But alas, here we are, and hey, it's our final episode of Keep On Cookin'. So we held off to record this intro until David could be here with me, until he's back in town. So I'm so glad you're here, my dear.
I'm glad I'm here too, babe.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too. Well, listen, it's the last episode. Do you want to talk about it? Let's talk about it. My friends, all good things must come to an end, and I'm afraid it is the end of the road for the Keep On Cookin' podcast. You know, this started out in the pandemic, well before the pandemic, actually.
Yeah, I remember actually like January 2020. And I remember all the equipment just kind of showing up on our doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
And the original plan was the Vegan Roadie podcast, right?
To make it the Vegan Roadie podcast. We had just moved to Atlanta, and I was like, I miss the Vegan Roadie. How can we do this in a way that's cost effective? And I was very interested in reviving the Vegan Roadie in podcast format because of that. You know, I could be more expansive with it. I could talk to more chefs and more restaurant owners, and it would be less expensive, obviously, because I wouldn't be filming on location at restaurants across the country or the globe, even for that matter.
Yes, and then as you were gearing up for all of that, the cute little pandy happened.
Yes, we had the pandy. So COVID stopped the return of the Vegan Roadie. Like, you know, it stopped many things.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just seeing so many posts of businesses closing or sharing their struggles with just trying to stay afloat. And then I was just realizing there's no way the Vegan Roadie, a show focused on the successes of vegan restaurants or restaurants that feature vegan options, could return at that time at all. It felt very insensitive for me to be like reaching out to a restaurant who I know is struggling and being like, hey, do you want to do an interview and talk about your nachos since it's the most popular menu item?
Right. Or seeing the places that you covered on the road shutting down.
Yeah, shutting. It was
seeing their social media.
So it was just like it would have been very insensitive for me to start the Vegan Roadie as a podcast at that time.
Yeah, so we kind of sat on it for a few months, and then the world shut down, and then you realized everyone was cooking. There was a lot of cooking. There was a lot of
including us,
bread making, all that stuff really kind of took off. So everyone is in their homes pulling cookbooks off the shelves and cooking a lot.
Yes, and we thought through all of this, one thing everyone has to do is keep on cooking. Mm-hmm. So that's where the name came from. And I was also writing my third cookbook at the time, Epic Vegan Quick and Easy. And so I continued to write that all through the shutdown with the grocery shortages. I also had to meet deadlines. I had to keep on cooking to meet the deadlines, to be exact. And then I looked at all of the cookbooks I owned and thought it would be so cool to talk to all of the authors. So we started doing just that. And in September of 2020, we released our very first episode of the Keep On Cookin' podcast with Dustin Harder. That's me. Mm-hmm. And that first episode featured today's author, Miyoko Schinner.
Look at that. Miyoko, queen of cheese, vegan cheese. Yes. And we've been so fortunate to know Miyoko in real life, kind of beyond the podcast and outside the podcast, and even spent some time in Italy with her. As we are coming to the end here, babe, question for you. 150 episodes, exactly, right? 150, and chats with over 100 authors in that time. Looking back, what is something that you're taking away from this experience?
Well, lots of cookbooks. I'm staring at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 very long shelves that are completely full of cookbooks. And I got to tell you, listeners, I love every single one of them. Okay, I'd love 90% of them. One just caught my eye, and I was like, we can get rid of that. All that to say, I have such a respect. I mean, beyond being an author myself, and I've said this on this podcast before, when a cookbook shows up in the mail for me, when I open it up, There are some that I take out and I literally just hold in my hands, and I can like feel the spirit of the author in a way.
Mm.
Like I feel the blood, sweat, and tears that went into making the cookbook. Cookbooks are no joke, they're hard work. And I'm not saying literary items that are not cookbooks are not hard work, but writing a cookbook is a lot different than sitting down at your computer and typing out text.
Writing a
Um,
book alone, much less that involves food, that
yeah,
involves
yeah,
recipe
yeah.
testing, that involves
A team of
so
recipe
many,
testers, you know.
elements,
Yep.
tips, tricks, like
Yeah. And these days too, the market is so saturated that getting a book deal, it's hard. And then when you
yeah.
finally get it, often you're not compensated enough for it. And you're kind of doing it because you just want to, well, I guess it's different for everybody, but I will say the thing that one of the best experiences, especially, during the pandemic when I started this, and now as the world is so dark, just like the vegan roadie, when I talk to these authors, I'm reminded of the goodness there is in the world
Mm.
and that there are people out there doing things to help the world be a better place. In this case, and on the vegan roadie, it's helping the world be a better place one bite at a time, one
Yeah.
recipe at a time. But there are some books that are so well written that really touch on certain points of veganism and plant-based eating that I think have changed people's lives.
Mm.
So that's what I'm taking from the experience. It was an opportunity for me to really connect with authors in a way that I hadn't before. And some were business owners I had met on the road, and then I was able to have them on the podcast. But there's just some really cool authors I met in the process, and learning about what they do.
Well, and hearing their stories and how they got to veganism,
Yeah.
kind of their inspiration for the books, I
Yeah.
know was inspirational for you
Oh my gosh, some
to
of them
keep on cooking, if you will. Like
my gosh, yeah, Happy Pear still is like one of the biggest
Yeah.
inspirations to me. Those two guys are just so happy, and they've just created this beautiful, wonderful community. But that's singling out one, well, two authors in that case because it's a pair.
Right.
The happy pair.
Wink.
But there's just so many wonderful, beautiful authors out there who maybe didn't get paid a lot, but did it for the love of bringing plant-based food to the world and creating a better world ultimately with
Yeah.
compassionate eating. And it's been those are like-minded people to me. That's why I do what I do. Like, I'm doing it because I'm hoping people will eat fewer animals one day. Let's hope none, but I can only do what I can do, and that's create a change one bite at a time. And of course, before we dive into this last episode, the biggest thank you to all of the listeners. Truly, it is a small but mighty listener base, and I'm telling you, y'all show up. You have come up and said hi to me at restaurants, popped into my DMs, tagged me in recipes you make, tagged me in stacks of cookbooks that you've bought and been like, Keep On Cooking is not good for my cookbook addiction. I disagree. It's the perfect thing for your cookbook addiction.
Perfect.
And also those people are like-minded people to me, because I can sit with these cookbooks and just like, look at them for days and learn so much and flip through them. And the cool thing I love about it is having all these now, like I do cook from all of them. Like
Yeah, he does.
we sit on the couch and I'll just pop up and start making a recipe. To me, these cookbooks are a bigger education than my culinary education at culinary school. Not to say I didn't learn a lot there, but I mean, to get different people's perspectives all the time from these books on certain dishes and certain
Sure.
techniques has really inspired me and expanded my culinary endeavors in a way. And the people that are buying these books and also doing that and then coming up and talking to me about them, like, it really has been so wonderful to connect with you. And thank you for listening. I'm so incredibly grateful to all of you for listening and sharing it. I just have to tell you, it has really, really meant the world to me.
Yeah, I think it's important to share that this isn't the end of your cookbook journey, my dear. So please share with the listeners what you got working on.
Yeah, that's right. I'm actually working on a new book, y'all. Yeah, I
Ooh.
can't say much about it. It really because we're just in the beginning stages, but there is a contract. It's past that beginning stage. There is a book. It's being written and it's all rolling along, so it's happening. But this will be a fun book, and it's actually not much of a book at all, but a new concept with a great publisher, a publisher I've wanted to work with for years, who was around in the beginning of my cookbook journey and now has circled back. So be sure to keep following me on social media at Dustin Harder, and I'll announce the new project as soon as I'm able to. And I'd be so grateful for your support when it's released. David, any parting words before we dive in here, my love?
Yes, my love. I'm super proud of you.
Thanks, honey.
This is not easy. This has been hard. You've been doing, I mean, 90% of this lifting yourself. I help set up and do some intros, but I love that you get inspired, that you get excited about talking with these authors. And again, some of them have like become your friends and have been a network for you. There's only so much I can kind of offer as far as like food inspiration. And I like that you now kind of have this network of people. And hearing the stories about listeners coming up and saying hi or sliding into the DMs in a non-naughty way is I don't know. I'm proud of you.
Thanks,
It's hard.
honey. I appreciate it.
That's
very,
hard.
very
You've
much.
done it for a very long time.
I have, and that is why, my friends, it is time to say goodbye. And on a wonderful note, a very wonderful note, we have the one and only Miyoko Schinner. And thank you, darling. I love you. I appreciate that.
I love you.
We have the one and only Miyoko Schinner here today to talk about her brand new book that I am in love with, y'all. The Vegan Creamery, plant-based cheese, milk, ice cream, and more.
It's a gorgeous book. Miyoko Schinner is an award-winning chef, best-selling author, and founder of Miyoko's Creamery. She is also the founder of Rancho Compassion, a farm, animal sanctuary, and education hub, and the author of 6 cookbooks, all fantastic, including Artisan Vegan Cheese, which helped ignite the vegan cheese revolution.
Do you remember in our tiny apartment in Woodside when I would make cheeses out of Artisan Vegan Cheese?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to make the Rajuvalac in that book. I don't think you have to make it in the new one.
Yeah.
The option's there to make it in the new one, but it would stink up our tiny kitchen for days because I was making stinky artisan cheeses. That's what I was making. And then I would take those into culinary school. Everybody would eat them. We talk about it in the episode. But often described as the Epicurean activist, Miyoko has spent more than 3 decades reimagining a food system rooted in sustainability, equity, and compassion, inspiring people worldwide through her books, products, and thought leadership.
A delectable collection of over 75 plant-based recipes for vegan butters, creams, cheeses, desserts, and more from the award-winning chef and best-selling author of Artisan Vegan Cheese. Imagine enjoying a batch of fresh strawberry ice cream on a hot summer day. It tastes just as delicious as the beloved classic, but at its creamy core, it's actually plant-based. Now you can make all the dairy products you love, milks, creams, cheeses, savory spreads, and rich desserts with nuts, seeds, and other plant-based ingredients instead of animal products.
And seeds, y'all. We talk about watermelon seeds a lot in this interview, and I have to tell you, listeners, I bought them, I tried them, and I love them. Now, as per usual, Miyoko has done the work for us and figured out the best way to make these plant-based milk products mimic real dairy over the past 3 decades and is ready to share these meticulously curated recipes in the Vegan Creamery.
Yes, this book encourages people to dig deeper into what various plant milks can do. You'll learn to use the age-old concepts of culturing to make French-style soft truffle cheese, perfect on a charcuterie board, and fermenting plant-based milk to create Reggie goat cheese, a tangy spread that is delicious atop a pizza. You'll use atypical plant-based ingredients like watermelon seed milk to make mozzarella, and mung beans to make halloumi.
That's right. Alongside these delectable dairy-free creations, you'll learn to make pumpkin seed oat yogurt to serve with a bowl of fresh fruit or salted maple chocolate chip cookie ice cream. Get into it to satisfy your cravings for a rich dessert. Miyoko has become a leader in the evolution of plant-based dairy, and through her recipes and stunning photography, you can learn how to craft beautiful vegan food for everyday life that will expand your palate and help save the planet. That's what I'm talking about. The Vegan Creamery is just the cookbook to guide you on your plant-based journey. Here she is, serving as a fabulous bookend for the Keep On Cookin podcast as your first guest, and now your last. Please welcome Miyoko Schinner. I'm so thrilled to have our return guest here today for a 3rd time to chat about her brand new cookbook, The Vegan Creamery. It's the original mastermind behind plant-based cheese. Please welcome the one and only Miyoko Schinner back to Keep On Cookin. Hello and welcome, darling. How are you?
Hello, and it's so great to see you again.
Great to see you too. We're going to get right into your icebreaker here because you travel a lot. Is there a destination still on your travel list that you'd like to visit? If not, what's your favorite place that you've visited so far?
Well, I think everyone knows that my favorite place, and I keep going back there, is Italy. And we were there together one time.
Yes. I wondered if your answer would be Italy.
No, it's true. I mean, I just feel like it's my second home. Like when I land in Italy, all of a sudden it's like my blood pressure goes down and I can
Amazing.
breathe and relax, and I can actually appreciate leisure without thinking about all the things that I have to do. So I absolutely love it. On the other hand, I am going to one of the places that I have been wanting to go to for a very long time. Next year, I'm branching out on my tours, working with some other tour companies, and I'm going to Africa, to Tanzania and Zanzibar, leading a vegan tour there in May of 2026. So I'm really excited about that because I've always wanted to go to Africa, but I thought, oh my God, I'll never be able to go because, there's the tours to Africa tend to be really expensive, safaris and so on. And
Sure.
sometimes they're like $20,000. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to afford that. So now I'm leading it and it's not as expensive as that. So,
Sure.
it's a 2-week tour and it is focused not just on a safari. We are doing a safari, going to the Serengeti, but we're also really diving deep into African cuisine. We're going to be going to Zanzibar and visiting the spice market.
Wow.
And we have a vegan chef that's going to be with us the entire time. We're also going to be going to all kinds of markets and working with a women's group, a vegan women's group that's providing food for the community. And so, there's going to be an opportunity to give back as well. So I'm really excited about it. It's not just a safari, but it will be able to do a cultural dive into Africa as well.
That's awesome. So is this available already for people to look into and possibly reserve their spot? Where can they do that at?
Yeah, well, you can go to just my website, miyokoschinner.com, and then there's a link to Tanzania. It'll take you to the tour operator, which is Stillwater Safari. So,
Amazing.
yeah.
Oh,
So
that's great. So exciting. Oh, you are branching out in your adventures
yes,
there.
yeah.
That sounds so cool. What a great package you have planned for it too. It sounds like very, very immersive, and you'll see a lot of cool stuff and do a lot of great things. The one left on my list, I got to make it happen. Australia, I want to go so badly, but I want there to be like a good amount of time there. Like I want to make sure I have time to like rest after I land, so that I can have a good experience for like 2 to 3 weeks and then come back. So it's a long-term plan I need to make financially to make it happen, but we will get there. But Australia is the one left on my list.
Well, I feel like Australia, you need like a month there, I believe. There's so many, it's so huge. It's so big.
Yep.
Yeah. And then there's Tasmania and all of that. So you want to kind of like just check out all of it.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. So I got to make a game plan for it.
Yes.
Well, listeners, Miyoko has graced us with her presence twice before. She was our very first guest on Keep On Cookin', where we covered one of my absolute favorite books still to this day, The Homemade Vegan Pantry. So that is episode 1, dear listeners. And then she is back on episode 33 to talk about her book, The Vegan Meat Cookbook. In those episodes, we talk a lot about Miyoko's history and journey with plant-based cooking and entrepreneurship. So if you want to get some backstory, check out episodes 1 and 33. Today, we are focusing on this beautiful new collection, the Vegan Creamery, plant-based cheese, milk, ice cream, and more. So Miyoko, let's get into it. I have your first vegan cheese cookbook, Artisan Vegan Cheese. And I remember when I was in culinary school in 2014, I would make these cheeses. I would take them into class. We would all sit around and like sample them on our lunch break and try different things I was making from the book. And now many years later, you're giving us this new book, not just offering up vegan cheese recipes, but plant-based milk, cheese, ice cream, and so much more. In the beginning of the Vegan Creamery, you chat about how it came to be with the idea of revamping Artisan Vegan Cheese Cookbook, but that the idea became much more expansive than simply updating the recipes for that book. Can you talk about the exploration over the last decade or plus since Artisan Vegan Cheese was written and how that inspired the Vegan Creamery?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I wrote Artisan Vegan Cheese, I had begun to experiment with a variety of nuts and legumes, but I felt like cashews represented the cow's milk of the nut and seed category. So I thought, okay, just to make it really simple, let's kind of home in on just one primary ingredient. And there are some other ingredients in there, but it was predominantly cashews. And I think the major difference besides that is that most vegan cheeses that are cashew based are sort of creamed cashews. You're making sort of a paste out of cashews and then solidifying it either through adding, I don't know, things like agar or carrageenan or just letting it age. And, the company that I had before, we sort of did a similar thing. In this book, I really wanted to see what are the powers of other plant milks and what can you do with them besides making a puree or a cream? And can you actually coagulate? Can you make a milk, coagulate the protein, separate the curds from the whey, and then press it into cheese or turn it into a cream cheese or a ricotta or whatever? And so I just started experimenting with a whole variety of other things. And my plan for this book was to make products, to make recipes that were highly nutritious, that weren't just, oil and starch based or,
Mhm.
A little bit of some ingredient, but mostly oil, coconut oil, etc. I really wanted to see what can I just do with the milks themselves. So you'll find cheeses in here that are made from a huge variety of ingredients, watermelon seeds, mung dal,
Mhm.
chickpeas, etc. And I've utilized the properties of some of those ingredients. For example, I have an almond and chickpea yogurt. So, almond yogurt is very difficult to make. It's very, very watery. But I thought, well, what if I added whole chickpeas to it?
Mhm.
Uncooked chickpeas that underwent fermentation. Would the starches and the proteins in the chickpeas help to solidify that yogurt? And the answer was yes. I can get a really thick, creamy yogurt with that sort of combination. And so that's the idea behind the book is, I had to explore so much more about various milks.
Mhm.
But most of the cheeses are made through the coagulation of the proteins in the milks, the separating of the whey, and then pressing
Mhm.
the curds, just like dairy cheese. In the realm of ice cream, I'm really pleased because I found that there are certain processes and ingredients that work to make a really rich, creamy ice cream without having to add oils. A lot of vegan cream ice cream recipes are either made on a full fat coconut milk,
Mhm.
or they have coconut oil added to it for that creamy texture.
Mhm.
And I found that watermelon seed milk creates such a rich and creamy base. And you're talking massive amounts of protein. I mean, that is a high protein ingredient. So, we're kind of getting the best of both worlds. We're getting the culinary advantages of certain milks, as well as the nutritional advantages of those same milks. And that's really kind of the exploration that I've been on for the last decade or so, is just going outside the box and figuring out what can I do with new ingredients? How do they each behave, etc.
Well, and we're going to get more into this obviously when we go through the recipes. The watermelon seed bit here, when I opened the book, was the most surprising one, for obvious reasons. Like, what? So, when you're making something from watermelon seed, can you buy just the seeds from the
Yes.
water? Ah.
Yes, yeah. So it's actually a very common snack in places like India and China. And so
Wow.
if you can get them from Indian grocers.
Uh-huh.
I provide a resource in here. You can also get it from the cheesemaker.com, which is a website
Okay.
that I've really enjoyed because they have a separate vegan section for cultures
Oh,
and supplies. So
wow.
they've really they're really helping to support the vegan approach to cheese making. So they're also now carrying watermelon seeds. So it's a particular melon that's grown in places like China and India for their seeds. So it's a melon that has lots and lots and lots of seeds. Whereas
Sure.
in this
Would
country,
have to. Yeah.
yeah, we've basically hybridized seeds out of them,
Uh-huh.
and we're creating these sterile watermelons that just don't have seeds at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is just the opposite. The seeds are, it's a melon that is just full of seeds.
Yeah.
And then just like with pumpkin seeds, they're the kernels inside the hard shell.
Okay.
Uh,
Yep.
so you don't want to be like eating an old-fashioned watermelon and spitting out the black seeds and trying to accumulate them all summer, because you
That's
might
what I
get
was
a
wondering. I was like, how did this come about?
yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean
What
it's
made you think of it? What made you think of did you see it on cheesemaker.com and you thought, "Oh, let me give it a whirl," or what made you think of
no,
using
no,
watermelon seed?
cheesemaker.com actually just started carrying them at my request. Uh,
There you
uh,
go, helping us all out.
yeah, no, somebody, I heard about it from, just being aware of ethnic foods and things like that.
Uh-huh.
somehow it kind of came across my feed. And there's also a melon. It's called egusi seeds out of Africa, and that doesn't react exactly the same way. But I also have a melon milk recipe in my book where you actually do save the melon seeds from like your cantaloupes and your honeydew melons, and you make milk out of it. And it's a really refreshing, delicious milk as well too. So many of these things that we tend to just throw away are actually edible and can be good.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, you are doing the hard work for all of us so we can dive into books like this, and you figured it all out for us. And you have a section called My Philosophy and the Simple Science Behind the New Frontier of Plant Milk Products. So, in a nutshell, what's your philosophy?
The philosophy is to really understand each individual milk and what the properties are. Does it coagulate? Does it thicken? Is it best for ice cream? Is it best for making sour cream, etc.? And trying to respect those characteristics and utilize them to their advantage without manipulating them with tons of oil, starches, gums, fillers, etc. And really using nature and fermentation to deliver the results that we want.
Yeah.
So, I would say the recipes in the book are closer to traditional cow's milk or sheep's milk, dairy products than anything that has been created before. And there's also no waste. So let's say you make a milk out of, I don't know, whatever, some of these ingredients in here, and you use a nut milk bag, you end up with a pulp. Then I also have recipes for what you do with that. And the pulp crackers are literally the best
I was
crackers.
just gonna say, yeah.
They are so good. So, really the philosophy is, how do you make whole foods by respecting nature rather than trying to manipulate it with, all this junk that is oftentimes in some of the foods that are vegan.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite things, crackers from pulp is like the best thing. I was the culinary director for a brand where we made all these juices all the time. There was all this pulp. So I turned it into like pulp pizza crackers, and they were just so delicious, and it was just mixing a few other like seasonings in there to like get it to a place where it was sort of good in flavor, because you're already getting like, it can be a neutral flavor with the pulp, or sometimes it depends on the mix of things that are in there. With juices, there were lots of random vegetable things in there, so it was like adding some flavor to it. But really, truly, I love that about this book, that you give us ways to use everything in it so that we are eliminating waste, being as sustainable as possible. And in the beginning, you also go over ingredients for us. Items folks expect to see maybe are almonds and of course cashews, but this gets much more inclusive with things like sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, hemp hearts, and even watermelon seeds, as we've discussed. And you venture into legumes, and you get into cultures, fermented foods, fats, oils, coagulants, gelling agents, and flavor enhancers. What might be something, aside from the watermelon, because we've talked about that now, unless that's the answer to this, but I'm curious, what might be something from this ingredient section in this book that the home cook might be intimidated at first by when they see it, and why shouldn't they be intimidated by it?
Well, because I think I provide fairly simple instructions. I don't know if it's the ingredient so much as some of the techniques. Like if you're going to make, let's say this blue cheese, that can be a little intimidating, because you're talking about using a combination of, hemp hearts and pumpkin seeds, and making a milk, and then coagulating the proteins, and then separating the whey, measuring the pH, and then having to deal with the lactic acid bacteria, as well as the Penicillium roqueforti, and then making sure you have the right pH, making sure you have the right humidity at which you maintain, you age the cheese, you have to flip it every day. I mean, that is really involved. And so I wouldn't say it's the ingredients so much that could be intimidating as the techniques for some of the cheeses here. And I just described probably one of the most labor-intensive recipes in the book. However,
yes.
Let's say you want to make something like a really great yogurt. but you have a soy allergy.
Mm-hmm.
And, the recipe that I mentioned earlier, that is the almond milk and chickpea yogurt, for example, that's, it seems strange to be using chickpeas. You have to use raw chickpeas. You're not using canned because you're utilizing this starch. But once you read the recipe, all it is really soaking the chickpeas and then pureeing it with the almond milk and then thickening it up on the stove.
Mm-hmm.
And that one's a really easy recipe. Malumi is another recipe. I call it malumi because it's halloumi made with mung.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't have mung dal, but if you've ever been to an Indian restaurant and had dal, that's what it is. It's split yellow peas. And that is just such another simple recipe
Sure.
that comes together in a day. So yeah, maybe you've never used mung dal, but all you're really doing is soaking it and pureeing it and then fermenting it.
Yep.
So the technique is really simple, even if it's an ingredient that's unfamiliar.
Yeah, absolutely. That's always been one of the most exciting things about your books, in particular to me, though, is that when I remember opening the Vegan Artisan Cheese book and being like, oh gosh, can I do this? But like, you write instructions that way that I'm like, no, she's holding my hand. Like, I got my way through this. Like, I can figure it out. Like, you really have done the work for us where you've broken it down step by step, as cookbooks are supposed to be, but you have a really great way of educating people in a way that's very digestible. And listeners, while it might sound like some of these are a lot of work, it's also very fun and rewarding. Super fun at a party to put out, your own charcuterie board and be able to say, hey, I made a bunch of these cheeses on here, So it really is a fun, rewarding thing to do. So don't be scared of ingredients or techniques that might be new to you. Dive in and learn from the best here in this book. Has you every step of the way. Now, did you find in writing this that you have for yourself, now that you've worked with all of these ingredients, do you have a favorite base when it comes to a base for cheeses?
Oh gosh. It really depends on the cheese, but one of
Sure.
the most versatile ones I'm going to mention again is watermelon seeds. And
Amazing.
the recipe to get started with is the watermelon seed and cashew ricotta.
Okay.
Because I guarantee you it is the milkiest milk I've ever had. When you make the watermelon seed milk and taste it, you'll notice that it coats your tongue just like whole milk does, whole cow's milk.
Wow.
And almond milk, soy milk, they don't really coat your tongue. They don't have that sort of
Right.
rich mouthfeel. Well, this does. And then when you make the ricotta out of this, it is so believable. And that's one that comes together literally the same day that you make it. It's so easy.
Yes.
And so, something like that is easy. If that's even too much, you can start out with something like one of the ice creams. So I have 2 ice cream bases because I want you to go into the kitchen and explore your own flavors. I don't, these aren't recipes like you have to follow exactly my recipes and you can't come up with your own combinations. I
Right.
want you to explore. This is a starting point for further exploration of plant milks. So if you want to make ice cream, for example, that's fairly healthy, try watermelon seed milk. And then you just add all the things in it and you churn it and then it's got ice cream. Or another easy trick that I came up with, there's a cashew base for ice cream as well too. But instead of adding oil, I add cooked rice, and the cooked rice and the cashews pureed together, that rice starch, the whole rice starch creates that creamy sensation.
Absolutely.
We're not adding oil. We're keeping it as healthy as possible. But you're also getting sort of a whole foods based ice cream. So, that would be like a really good starting point if you want to explore some of the recipes without diving into some of the more difficult cheese recipes. Start with the beginning of the book or the end of the book, and then kind of work your way into the middle. I've also really simplified butter. So I have butter recipes in 2 other books. And, initially it was more complicated than it needed to be. And you had to go out and buy lecithin, which, people don't have lecithin in their cabinet.
Right.
And I've just gotten more and more to what do people have? I mean, you have to buy the ingredients, obviously.
Sure.
But
what's familiar to them? What do they buy often?
Right. And so I figured out how to make butter just with 3 ingredients, with a milk of some sort. It can be any kind of
Yep.
milk, fermented or not fermented, or it can be yogurt, and then a solid fat and a liquid fat.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And no emulsifier, no adjunct, nothing added to it. And it comes out to be so creamy and spreadable. And I have several butter recipes in there for a firm one for, I call it the culinary and baking butter. That's for making like laminated doughs or baking with a cake, baking
Sure.
a cake or something. And then I've got 2 spreadable ones. And one of them does not use coconut oil at all.
Right.
It uses shea butter, which has a different melting curve.
Mm-hmm.
Shea butter and olive oil, which are, a little bit
Yeah.
different. And that's my go-to butter now for everyday use.
Amazing. Yeah, I listeners, this butter is so easy. I almost made it last night when I was like looking over everything. I was like, oh, I'll put this together real quick. And then I was like, oh, I have like 2 different butters in the fridge right now. I need to wait till I like actually need it, And we've got listeners, I don't want to scare you off here. So let me tell you, there is a chapter called Fresh and Fast Cheeses, and we're going to get to it. I was just asking Miyoko up front, like, hey, what might be something intimidating? So Miyoko's got you covered. Don't you worry, making it as simple as possible for you in many arenas. The first chapter is in the land of milk and cream. So I'm going to open up here so I can take a look at some recipes here with you. In the land of milk and cream, and we've got, starts us off here with creamy almond oat milk, fortified oat milk, barley milk, cream of barley cereal, cashew milk and cream, lucky pumpkin seed milk, and this is great gluten-free cheesy crisp that come, and you make that out of the pulp from the pumpkin.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Amazing. So what's a favorite in the land of milk and cream for you? What's a favorite recipe or two from this section?
Well, what I want to say is that, for example, a lot of people like oat milk and they like almond milk, but almond milk can be a little thin. And I found that, okay, let's just make it a little thicker by adding oat to it. So that, actually makes it here. And then oat milk is often very low in protein.
Mm-hmm.
So I found that by adding just a little bit of hemp hearts, I was able to double the amount of protein in that milk. So there really aren't straight milks in here. They're usually sort of combinations, or there's like an added +1. For example, the barley milk is actually quite tasty. But then you also get this leftover sort of mash that you can cook up into like a barley cereal, like a cream of barley. It's like cream of wheat, but it's cream of barley. And so there's always like an advantage to these milks. One of my favorites actually is the sunflower seed milk. And that's really unusual because I found that sunflower seed milk foams really well for making things like cappuccino. And it's a really tiny foam. And I couldn't get some of the other milks to foam in my foam.
I would have never thought sunflower seed would be the one.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting. There's no added oils to that at all.
Interesting.
And so that makes it really interesting. And then I just found, just testing things that, for example, I have a non-curdling creamer. By making it a certain way, combination of things, it was more stable in hot liquids than other creamers. So there's a little bit of like trial, just repeat, what's it called? Trial and
error. Yeah.
Trial and error and food science that's behind some of these. So,
well, when you say non-curdling creamer, that's so interesting to me because that is often that I've heard people, especially people who are not vegan, who might try a vegan creamer. They're like, oh, but it curdled in my milk, and or it curdled in my coffee when I poured it in there or whatever. So what curdles it, and then what keeps this non-curdling then?
Well, it's the protein that curdles in the, depending on the temperature of the coffee. I keep wanting to say milk. But I found that this certain combination that has a combination of aquafaba, sunflower seeds, and cashews somehow is stable. I don't know why, but it doesn't curdle as much or at all.
Wild.
So the
code.
That was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And then there's different creamers. Like a lot of people, I found that a combination of almonds and sunflower seeds created a nice, rich creamer for your coffee without having to add oil. A lot of the commercial creamers are rich because they have oil. Now,
Yep.
there's a couple that don't in the marketplace, but most of them do have oil. So
Sure.
if you're trying to like eliminate that and just make something that's really whole foods based,
Mm-hmm.
the book has lots of recipes for that.
And are these for the recipes in this chapter? Are people needing a nut milk bag to?
I highly recommend it. I mean, you could have a nut milk maker,
Sure.
but the
Okay.
nut milk makers that I've experimented with require a certain ratio of nuts and
Mhm.
seeds to water.
Yep.
And sometimes you just need a higher ratio to get the results that you want.
Right.
So it doesn't always work. Also, I find that even with those nut milk makers, the filtration just isn't as good. So, you could start out with the nut milk maker, but I always suggest that you filter it a second time
Yeah.
through a nut milk bag unless you don't mind the grit. I don't like
Sure.
gritty milk.
Sure.
I know a lot of people who don't mind that sort of gritty sensation. I don't like it. I want it to be silky smooth.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that comes into play for if you have a guest over or something as well, and they're not vegan, and you're like, oh wait, try this. You want to make sure that they're getting the thing that's the most familiar to them, so they have no excuses. They can just
Right.
be like, wait, this is
Exactly.
delicious. You close this chapter out with sweet whipping cream and topping. So what's that made out of this time around?
So this recipe is a repeat from the Homemade Vegan Pantry. There are like maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 recipes I pulled from other books. Not
Good,
very.
because they do deserve a repeat. They're so
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So this one, it's a slight
An
modification.
encore.
Yeah, this is an encore and it's a slight modification because when I
Okay.
first wrote it, I could only get the milk to whip using soy milk, and now I find I can use watermelon seed milk or soy milk. What you need is a high protein milk in order to get it to whip like that. So it's a combination of a rich milk, coconut oil, cashews, and sugar.
Amazing.
Now the cashews aren't exactly, you can eliminate them if you have a cashew allergy, but I do find that it creates a slightly richer whipping cream.
Oh,
It
sure. I
whips
bet.
up beautifully. This is my go-to whipping cream.
I love it. I love having a good recipe for whipping cream around. And chapter 2 is butter, sour cream, and spreads. And everybody at the top is soft spreadable butter that I'm not joking. I almost just ran to the kitchen and made last night, which is a problem I have doing this podcast. I'm like, let's go make it. And you're like, your fridge is full. Stop making things right now. So sometimes I got to stop myself. So we're looking at butter, sour cream, and spreads here. Lots of great stuff in here. What's a couple favorites in here for you?
So I really do love the lovely sour cream and creme fraiche, which are made out of almonds and hemp hearts. Um, and it's coagulated using calcium sulfate, which is the coagulant that's typically used for tofu.
Okay.
And then it's drained. And I'm featuring a particular culture in here that the cheesemaker.com has called minus milk. You can use a different culture if you like, but it really does create that wonderful creme fraiche sour cream flavor. The only equivalent is a non-vegan culture called Flora Danica that is often used for sour cream and creme fraiche.
Okay.
And I talked to the cheesemaker.com and they put together a vegan version of Flora Danica. So I'm actually thrilled about that. So, I mean, that creme fraiche is absolutely delicious. Another one that I really like is the coconut chickpea labneh. Labneh is a drained yogurt cheese, Middle Eastern, oftentimes drizzled with olive oil, za'atar, things like that. And this one is so thick and it comes from just dried chickpeas and a full fat coconut milk. So you first make the yogurt and then you drain it. And it's so thick and spreadable. And you don't taste the coconut milk. You don't taste the chickpeas. It just tastes like this really thick, thick spread.
Yeah. And now you're saying dried chickpeas, so like they're not soaked or anything. You're just
They are soaked. But I mean,
okay, so
you're not cooking them. They're not
but not cooked.
yeah.
Okay.
So you're actually soaking the chickpeas and then you're pureeing them.
Got it. Okay. And then I saw you've got a vegan ghee in here.
Yes, and that's because there is a milk. The only way you can make ghee is by separating. So traditional cow's milk is made from cream, which means it has milk solids, milk proteins in it. And when you heat it up, the milk solids separate from the oil. And that's how you get brown butter, because it's the milk stuff, it's that brown. If you use a vegan margarine that's just made out of oil and water, it will never brown. It will splatter when you heat it, and it will never turn into ghee. So the only way to make ghee is a process of melting the vegan butter that's been made with some kind of milk, and then separating that milk out. That milk helps to flavor the oil during the process of making the butter. And so you end up with this clear ghee that's got this wonderful sort of dairy flavor to it.
Wow. You might be my smartest food friend I've ever had. I'm so grateful. I learn so much every time I talk to you. Well, we've got our compound butters here as well. And this is just a list of like, I just want a plate full of them. I want to spread it on everything. It looks so good. We have cinnamon maple butter, flour power butter, truffle butter, cheesy garlic butter, and lemon shallot herb butter. Get into it, everybody. And
you can come up with your own variations.
Oh,
you could do basil, but basil and garlic butter. I mean, you could, just go, just run hog wild. You can do a nutmeg and allspice butter. I mean, like there's so many options. So yeah.
Well, and I feel like this is sort of that key you're giving people when you give the options like this, and people can like try a couple and see how it all comes together. And then it's kind of like, okay, run and play. What flavors do you like? Now you can maybe create something yourself. And I think that really empowers people in their kitchens to like take control a little bit and like have fun in the kitchen and get excited about it a little bit more even.
That's the idea behind the book is, the evolution of plant milks, the exploration of plant milks is only at we're still in the nascency of exploring that. We don't have 2,000 years of dairy making, cheese making or ice cream making experience. We only have really the last couple of decades or so. So even though I did a lot of work for this book, it's not the culmination, it's only the beginning. So I'm hoping to enlist the tribe of cheesemakers the world over and ice cream makers and milk makers to use this as a starting point. Come up with their own creations.
Yeah, I love it. And don't forget yogurt makers. That takes us into chapter 3. We've got yogurts here. And I was going to say, I've got it in my notes. I say, let's chat watermelon seeds, but we already have, because I was so curious, needed to know. So we know where to get our watermelon seeds now. We know a little bit more about them. And you said it's cheesemaker.com, right?
Yes. Thecheesemaker.com.
Thecheesemaker.com, everybody. And so what's a yogurt in here that can win anyone over? I've already said a couple times, that non-vegan guest that you have over, you're pouring cream into their coffee, and we've talked about that. But what's a yogurt in here that can win anyone over?
Oh gosh, I actually did a tasting. I made like a whole bunch of these yogurts and I put them out for people to taste, and not everyone was a vegan. And it was really a toss-up between people. But I mean, they were all, if you make the yogurt right, they're all really pretty tasty. The rich soy cashew yogurt is a really nice one. So you're making soy milk. It's soy yogurt, but you're adding cashews to make it richer and more stable. So it doesn't separate. Soy milk yogurt often the whey separates from it. But the cashews stabilize it. So it never does that at all.
And in your tasting then, was that the one that you think got I feel like they probably all got high ratings, but which one do you think got like the highest praise at that tasting of your yogurts?
I don't know. I think the watermelon seed kernel milk yogurt was pretty popular, but so was the pumpkin seed oat yogurt.
Okay. Yeah. I'm so intrigued by all of these. So, of course, you've got soy yogurt 2 ways, plain soy yogurt, rich soy cashew yogurt, we just spoke of, and soy yogurt cheese. Ooh, tell me about the soy yogurt cheese.
Well, that was actually one of my very first cheeses back in early 2000s, maybe late 1990s. I was experimenting with vegan cheese. And so I knew about labneh and yogurt cheese. And so I made my yogurt, I've been making soy yogurt for years. So I put it in a cheesecloth or a nut milk bag, and I just hung it from my sink for 24 to 36 hours. And it got really, really thick. And so I flavored it up, and then I, rolled it up and wrapped it in something like cheesecloth, I can't remember, to let it continue to firm up in the refrigerator,
Sure.
and it became really thick and sliceable and full of cheese, good cheesy goodness. So those are my very first cheeses, using yogurt fermentation and then draining in order to make cheese. So soy yogurt cheese or dairy yogurt cheese or labneh, I mean, these have been around for thousands of years, and I'm just, using different ingredients to replicate that.
Yeah, for sure. It's so funny when we're going over all of these. I'm thinking about how my vegan artisan cheese book literally has like splatters all over it everywhere. You know, the kind, those good cookbooks you have that are just spilled with stains everywhere. And I can see this one. I see the fate of this one. I see some stained pages in its future, which is very exciting to me. So we've also got a thick oat cashew yogurt, pumpkin seed oat yogurt. We got that watermelon seed kernel milk yogurt, coconut mung bean yogurt, and almond chickpea yogurt, all in this chapter. This takes us into chapter 4, everybody. Fresh and fast cheeses. So before we dive into the fantastic selection of cheeses in this chapter, can you first tell the listeners about Reggie and Rufus? Of course, we could chat about the recipe connected to their names, but let's just learn about Reggie and Rufus first.
Okay, well, Reggie and Rufus were two goats that were the impetus for starting Rancho Compasión, the farmed animal sanctuary. I started 10 years ago. This is our 10th anniversary.
Woo, congratulations.
They kind of showed up. Somebody said, hey, I understand you got some land. There's a couple of goats. They need a home. And they arrived, and they were about 6 months old. And they were just like, I discovered that goats are basically dogs with horns. They want to socialize. They love going on hikes. They love attention. They love, being cuddled. And I just fell in love with them. Unfortunately, Reggie, I named a cheese after him, Reggie Goat, and then another cheese, Rufus, the age goat. So Reggie was an all white goat, and then Rufus is black and white. Unfortunately, Reggie fell very ill a couple of months ago and passed away at the age of 10. So that was really hard, but Rufus is still alive and well. And so I dedicated 2 cheeses to them. And this goat cheese is really tangy and fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And you can age it. It's the same recipe, but you can age it and it becomes hard and sliceable. So it's like an aged goat cheese.
Yeah.
You have your choice of having it fresh or aged. You can flavor it any way you like. But at first I thought, oh my God, it's too tangy. I don't know if anyone's going to eat it. And I happen to have an omnivore guest staying here, somebody who is very, very meat and potatoes type. And he saw it on the counter. He goes, oh my God, that's great. I would love that on a pizza. And I knew, okay, well, maybe, it's actually good. And it's turned out to be one of the favorites.
Love that. Oh, that's so great. I love that. I love that too. In a recipe, you're kind of like, oh, maybe, I don't know, maybe. And then someone loves it and you're like, okay, great. All right, good. We'll keep going with this then. We'll roll with it. You've got Kahana's favorite cheese for grilled cheese sandwiches in here. And everybody loves a good grilled cheese sandwich. And the photo in here is fantastic. Tell me more about this grilled cheese sandwich.
Yeah, Kohana is my niece, my brother's daughter. And she has been vegan since she was, 8 years old or so. And she's in college now, but she loves grilled cheese sandwiches. So when she came here, I was just playing around with that recipe, and I just wasn't sure, is it going to fly or whatever? And she just like flipped over it. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe how good this is. So I sent it home with her, and then she called me up and she goes, I'm so bummed. I was making grilled cheese sandwiches every day, and now I've run out. And so I named it after her. And it's a cheese that is strictly for melting. And it's just this gooey, flavorful cheese.
So I'm trying to look right now to see what our base is for it. So it looks like, ooh, sweet potatoes.
Yes. That's what
And
gives it the color and some of the sweetness.
oh yeah, this has got all stuff I have on home to make. Maybe I'm
Yes, yeah.
later.
Mhm.
I'm already just like picking and choosing out of here what's going to happen next in my kitchen. There's also, I remember, so potato cashew Munster cheese in here. I remember I made the Munster cheese from your other cheese book there. And was there potato in that at the time, or is this a revamped version with potato in it now?
Yeah, I've added the potato, a whole cooked potato.
Great.
And the reason for that is when you puree that potato, if you've ever tried to make mashed potatoes and put your potato in the food processor and it got all gluey and stretchy
Mm-hmm.
and you couldn't serve it anymore, well, it's perfect for cheese. So
Yeah.
it's that kind of thinking, you know.
Yep.
Because I'm trying to utilize whole foods as much as possible rather than trying to do everything with adjuncts like tapioca starch. I'm not saying that there isn't any tapioca or
Sure.
additional oils in these, but I'm trying to utilize the properties that are inherent in natural ingredients as much as possible.
Yeah, that's
So,
fantastic. I think people too, when you think of things like the lecithin and things like that, it's things that they'll buy it, but then it's like, well, what else are they using it on, right?
that's
So this is
exactly
giving
right.
people the opportunity to not have to buy so many specialty items.
Exactly.
Well, what should someone in this, fresh and fast cheeses? Someone just picks up the book after they hear this interview and they get very excited about the book. What is a cheese someone should attack first from this chapter?
I would say probably the ricotta. I think that's in the book, right? Is there a ricotta? The fresh watermelon seed kernel, or is that in a different book?
I'm
Oh,
looking right.
oh, there it is. A Tale of Two Ricottas. It's the watermelon seed cashew ricotta. I mentioned it earlier. It is phenomenal. Another one is, I've made a million different kinds of mozzarella,
Sure.
and I've been teaching these cooking classes in Italy, and I can tell you that one of the favorite recipes of all the students, the ricotta is one of them, and the other one is the watermelon seed kernel mozzarella.
Wow.
It is, I mean, it's the best mozzarella I've ever made. It is so beautiful. And it is just silky and smooth and stretchy. And it's got bite to it as well.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, some of the mozzarella recipes that are vegan, when they melt, it just turns into kind of like a bechamel sauce, like a liquid. And that was actually a criticism that I had received from some Italians years ago.
Sure.
And I'm like, what can I do to fix that so that even when it's melted, it's got a little bit of bite. And so I was able to solve it with this particular cheese. So those are, I would say, great. Another one is, paneer is a really interesting recipe. There's only 2 ingredients in that, actually 3. But paneer is one of those things where when, vegans want to make something, I don't know, like some Indian dish, they just use tofu as a paneer substitute. And tofu just isn't paneer. It just isn't easy.
Yep.
Paneer is not supposed to melt, but it should be creamy. And tofu is not creamy. So I feel like I really achieved that with this recipe. And that's a combination of soy milk and watermelon seeds. And we are coagulating the proteins in milks. So, those are really exciting, I think. One more cheese that I'm going to mention here that I have so many students making, because I gave a little, I was teaching earlier this summer in Italy. So many students tell me they make it all the time, is the overnight in Parma. So I have 2 Parmesan recipes in here. One takes several months and one takes overnight.
Look at that.
Why it's overnight Parma, and it's simple. It's more of a cheat recipe, but it's so good. And I have to admit, I make this much more often than the other part. Yeah, the other recipe. So.
Well, because it's that kind of thing too, where you're thinking, oh yeah, I might need parm for that thing. I'm having a couple of people over. Oh, well, I can make that today. They're not coming over for 2 days. So like, great, it'll be ready, right?
And it's great because you can grate it. It grates beautifully. It makes a great cacio pepe.
Nice.
And you can also eat it by the slice. It's really tasty for a
Oh, I love that. And I want to go back a little to the watermelon seed fresh mozzarella, because I will tell you, first of all, obviously I'm getting off of this call and I'm ordering watermelon seeds immediately. It's meant to happen. It's going to happen because I need it. I got to try this stuff. But also one of the reasons is I have made the fresh mozzarella from your last book, the Vegan Meat Cookbook, so many times because it's so simple and it's so foolproof. Like every time it has turned out fantastic. So I know then that this will, and now with all this talk of the watermelon seeds, I'm like, okay,
this one's better. It's
great.
But I mean, that other one is great too, but this one is better.
Well, I mean, it's this love of the watermelon seed. I have to try it. That'll probably be the first thing I try with the watermelon seed then, because I'm so familiar with that one. I'm very curious now to see the difference that you speak
it's just
of.
the milky milk. And that's really what does it,
I love it. I love it. You've also got a French style soft truffle cheese in here and a
Oh,
truffle brie. So those come together fast as well?
yes, that one is a couple of days, but that one is fantastic. If you're trying to impress people, that would be one I would highly recommend.
And tell me about the magic mozzarella.
No, that's a liquid mozzarella.
Oh,
So
great.
that's mainly for pizza, lasagnas, etc. And
Perfect.
that one can be made out of a variety of milks. And I give the alternatives here, whether it's once again, watermelon seed milk, pumpkin seed milk, fortified oat milk, soy milk. You can make it out of almost any milk base.
Perfect. Great. So many great options, listeners, in the fresh and fast cheeses chapter. You will not be lost. You can start making cheese right away the minute you get this. And this, of course, takes us into a place where you can roll up your sleeves and get into it. This is chapter 5, aged and mold ripened cheeses. To me, I love the process of this. It's exciting for me. With the fast cheese, there's something so fun about it making it. But then with the aged cheeses, you get to check on it. You're kind of waiting on it. The anticipation to me is the fun part about it. And I'm not usually a patient person, but I learned while cooking from Artisan Vegan Cheese that the wait can be worth it. And I know these recipes will be just the same. So, in your opinion, what is a cheese in this chapter that is the most worth waiting for?
Well, I think a lot of people love blue cheese, but
Mhm.
it's just a real challenge. So
Yeah.
I offer two blue cheese recipes in here, and it may be trial and error because they are a little bit difficult. And sometimes I don't get it right either. The blue cheese mold grows too much, for example, because I didn't manage it well. And then I got a really strong blue cheese.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get it just right. So, that's a cheese that takes 3 to 4 weeks to make.
Sure.
Um, and it requires a lot of, hands-on love and all of that. So that one is worth waiting for and giving it a try. One cheese that, vegans have replicated everything. One cheese that I feel like is not in the vegan repertoire of even vegan cheesemakers that I've seen is something like a Limburger type, a stinky cheese.
Mm-hmm.
So I have one and that uses a particular bacteria, which is called, I'm going to tell right now, it says I'm on a call here. I'm blanking. It is called B linens,
Okay.
and or that for short, or Brevibacterium linens.
Okay.
It's sort of that. It's what creates that pink color on things like Munster or Limburger.
Gotcha.
And when you let it age, it breaks down the proteins in the cheese and makes it really kind of runny.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of the problem for me was I experimented using Brevilinens bacterium on a variety of milk bases to find out how can I get a cheese that gets runnier over time. It
Mm-hmm.
was very hard. Like it didn't work with cashews at all.
Wow.
And so I found a combination that worked. And so I developed a cheese called the Barn, a stinky cheese. So this is, I have a German friend who's like, "Oh my God, it's finally, the stinky cheese that I want." So that is one that I think if you're really into that, you
Yeah.
might try. Another cheese that takes like a month, but I think is really worth it is Angel's Sharp Potato Cheddar.
Okay.
Angel is a cow. She's a brown Guernsey cow, and
Mm.
this comes out looking like her color. And then I make it even better by taking that aged cheese and soak it in red wine brine
Okay.
for a couple of days, and then I age it further, and you get this beautiful red exterior, crimson exterior with a
Wow.
cheddar color in the middle. That can be wonderful. Another one that I'm really proud of is the feta fetish.
Mm-hmm.
So feta is another one of those cheeses where vegans often substitute tofu, and it's just not tofu. And then there are some commercial fetas on the market now, but they achieve their feta flavor by simply coagulating coconut oil with starch
Mm-hmm.
and then adding feta flavor to it. And
Yeah.
so it melts and it Feta is not really supposed to melt.
Right.
It's supposed to get creamy, but not completely,
Sure.
turn into a puddle of oil. And it's, I don't want to eat coagulated oil.
Yeah.
Like there's no nutritional benefit to that. I want
Yeah.
something that's going to have some nutrition. So
Yeah.
once again, watermelon seeds play a part in the feta fetish, but you get this really crumbly cheese. And I just want to mention how I finally came up with that without having to add agar or starches, was that I just decided, well, how's real feta made? And so
Mhm.
I researched it, and I literally used the same technique. And after you make the curds and you press the curds, you put lots and lots of salt on the soft curds, and you leave it at room temperature on a rack, and the salt pulls the moisture out and evaporates it. And after a couple of days, you get this nice firm cheese. So that's how traditional feta is made. And I
Right.
basically just applied that same technique rather than this cheating method of adding oil or starch to
Mhm.
thicken it. And so I'm really proud of that as well too. And then you can keep it in brine in your refrigerator for literally months. You can crumble it on your salad. I made spanakopita with it for
Sure.
the crowd recently, and that's fantastic too.
Oh, this takes me back, and I remember talking to you about Homemade Vegan Pantry, and it was the first time I had you on, and in those first interviews, I always talk a lot about history and how you got to where you are. And I remember asking you about, what one of your original, like one of your favorite, or if you remember a cookbook that like inspired you when you were getting, and you said basically there were like, and again, paraphrasing because I can't recall exactly what you said, but it was basically like meat cookbooks. You were learning how to season things by actually, so it's no surprise to hear that you were like, well, wait, how is actual feta made? Why can't we
Yes.
apply that practice here? And the outcome for these things is so fantastic for all of us. So again, thanks for doing the homework. We all appreciate it.
It was my pleasure.
Well, if you had a party tonight and you had the opportunity to showcase 3 cheeses from this chapter, what would be on that cheese board?
Well, definitely one of the 2 blue cheeses, either
Mm.
the Rancho Roquefort or the Nicasio Blues. Probably Snow White Rind.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about those.
Yeah, so that's basically like a brie or a camembert. And once
Mhm.
again, there are a lot of vegan bries out now, but they're all made out of cashews.
Sure.
And the thing about cashews is they don't get runnier over time.
Mhm.
They stay that same texture, which
Right.
is fine. And then many of those cheeses are made with adding oils.
Mhm.
And so I played around with ingredients that I think it's because it's just a higher protein base made out of hemp hearts, pumpkin seeds, and almonds, that the proteins start to break down over time, and it does start getting softer. So, so you can have it like a fresh brie, or after several weeks, it just starts to kind of get a little bit softer and runnier. Um, so I would definitely serve that. And then maybe the drunken cow. If,
There you
if
go.
I had these, but these aren't cheeses where it's like you snap your
Right.
finger, they're
Right.
ready. So
You'd have
I
to
didn't
have
have
them
any of those.
prepared.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you would have had to plan ahead a little bit,
yes.
everybody, but I was just curious what you would, if you didn't have to think about that and they were all ready and you could just choose and make your cheese board, what would be on it? So all great choices, of course. And chapter 6 takes us into a happy place, I think, for many people: ice cream and gelato. Now, is there anything that you've been tinkering with? I mean, it just sounds like your brain is always kind of going, okay, great, that one thing was done, now how can we do this next thing? Maybe we make it easier. How can we get oils out of it? Is there anything you've been tinkering with for a long time that made it into this chapter?
Um, I had played around with cashew ice cream before, but it was always a combination. In the Homemade Vegan Pantry, I think I use a combination of cashews and coconut milk. And more I hear from people saying, I don't want coconut milk in my ice cream. I don't want ice cream that has a coconut flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was really trying to avoid that unless I want that coconut flavor.
Sure.
And so, I start out, it's just these aren't, as I mentioned before, it starts out with 2 ice cream bases. I'm giving you 2 bases, and then you can do whatever you want with them. You can add different flavors or whatever. And the 2 bases are cashew rice or cashew oat. And then the other base is watermelon seeds, watermelon
Great.
seed milk. And so you have a choice. Either the oats or the rice help to kind of give a rich, smooth, thick, not icy texture
Mhm.
to the cashew milk ice cream. Cashew
Sure.
milk alone gets icier, in my opinion.
Mhm.
And the watermelon seed milk is a really creamy ice cream. So you start out with those bases, and then you can flavor them any which way. So I can't exactly say. Um, some of these are like some of my favorite flavors, but you could, for example, under watermelon seed kernel milk ice cream, I have a bunch of flavors, and under cashews, I have a bunch of flavors. But you could switch out the milks for any of them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They're, they're just it's just the way I sort of painted it here. But I really like certain flavors that are unexpected, like vanilla thyme. It's a really great flavor.
Mhm.
You wouldn't think of adding thyme to vanilla, but it's like one of those. Oh,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
really nice.
And I
Um,
imagine you probably add just the right amount where it's just like it's kind of like you're getting just enough in there. It's not overwhelming, I would imagine. It's
yes, but you can
vanilla with a little bit of thyme.
thyme, and it's just a beautiful marriage.
Yeah.
Another one I really like is the mango mint. So mango ice
Mhm.
cream exists, but adding a little bit of mint to it just
Mm.
makes it so much more refreshing. And then, a throwback to my days as a youth frequenting Baskin Robbins. My favorite flavor was rum raisin egg.
Okay.
So I did a rum raisin eggnog ice cream in here
Nice.
just to kind of, it's an ode to my own
I
child.
love it. I love it. And listeners, I have to point out the one that is screaming at me, which is salted maple chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream. I thought it's a dream for a minute. I was like, well, it sounds like a dream to me, so it
Yeah.
could say dream.
And it
Sounds so good.
utilizes the chocolate chip cookie dough from all that leftover pulp. So I have a recipe in the very final chapter of a chocolate chip cookie that is made from the pulp of making all
Genius.
the milks. And so if you happen to have some of that dough, you can turn it into this
Love
ice
it.
cream.
Oh, that's so good. Now, what about travels? I'm thinking about that here because I'm thinking about that trip where I was in Italy. You've been there many times. I've been there once, but I was filming all these different things for the Vegan Roadie, and one place we went to was a vegan gelato place that used olive oil for the base, and everything was vegan, and I was just kind of, my mind was blown by it. But are there any ice cream flavors inspired by your travels at all in here?
Oh, absolutely. So several. Gianduia gelato. Gianduia is a typical Italian ice cream that's a flavor, it's chocolate and hazelnut.
Mm.
So I have that in here. I also have the Sorrentino limoncello ice gelato. So you got to have that. I also have the in Sicily, chocolate cinnamon is a combination that's used in a lot of things. And so I have a Mount Etna chocolate cinnamon gelato in here as well too.
Oh, so good. So many great things in here. Also, everyone, coffee Kahlua crunch gelato. There's a fresh strawberry or other berry ice cream. And again, we're just going to say it one more time, vanilla thyme gelato. Get into it. Such great things in here. And the final chapter gets us into a great place here. It really is perfection. Great way to end it. It's called The No Waste Recipes and Other Favorites. So you've been so good in this book, helping us make use of every piece of every ingredient. And I love that you close the book out with this. Even more ways to make the home cook be as sustainable as possible and eliminate waste by using all the bits and pieces with some upcycled recipes. Even it seems often pulp from items is a way to upcycle, but what are some other items that come into play in the no waste section?
Well, for example, a lot of times you have leftover milk, which happens like, let's say you need a cup of cashew cream for something and you end up
Sure.
with 2 more cups. So I have recipes like the potatoes au gratin, which is it's one of the easiest potatoes au gratin recipes ever. It's just sliced potatoes with cashew milk poured over it, and it thickens up as you bake it and turns into this lovely bechamel type thing.
Delicious.
And then some of the recipes are just, using up how to use some of these recipes, some of the cheeses or creams in something that's just plain yummy.
Yeah.
Because some people, I get these questions all the time. Oh, your, cream cheese is lovely, but can I bake with it? or, can I cook with the mozzarella, or is it just blah, blah, blah? So I just tried to incorporate them in a couple of recipes here. And I do have the cacio e pepe in here that features the overnight in Parma, because it's just these very cheese-centric recipes are ones that you really have to have a good cheese to make.
Yeah,
And the overnight in Parma is a great one.
absolutely. Is there a recipe in this section that surprised you at all? Something that you thought, because when you're trying to piece together the bits and pieces from things that you have, for me, I get like lots of crazy ideas often, and sometimes I'm surprised, sometimes it's a big failure, sometimes it really works out. But is there anything that surprised you at all, something you thought might not work out but was a delightful surprise when you put it together?
Maybe the no waste Italian sausages and sausage crumbles with Ocaro, and that's the pulp from bean pulp, basically.
Okay.
Soybeans or mung beans. So just cooking, you can make it just a great base. It's high protein and high fiber to make something that is like a breakfast sausage
Wow.
or crumbles that you can put in your tacos or something. So that is, I think, something that, it's healthy, that you can keep in your refrigerator, you can freeze. So that one I think would be great. Another one that I really love is the luscious gluten-free salted hazelnut brownies. And that comes from just making the hazelnut milk.
Okay.
And the hazelnut milk is not super hazelnutty in flavor. It's delicious. And it's one of my favorites for coffee drinks, because it's just a delicious milk. On the other hand, you have all this hazelnut pulp that is hazelnutty in flavor.
Yep.
What better marriage for hazelnuts than chocolate in a brownie?
Truly. Yeah. My goodness. Listeners, if you have not clicked on the bottom of the show notes here and ordered this book yet, what are you waiting for? I have been thinking about all the things I'm going to make once we get done here. I need this cacio e pepe instantly, so I know what I'm having for dinners. But that, listeners, is the Vegan Creamery, plant-based cheese, milk, ice cream, and more. Now, Miyoko, this is time for your book brag. So what is something you're most proud of when it comes to this fantastic new contribution you have given us?
Oh my gosh, I think I probably have already said it. Just introducing people to new techniques and new ingredients, and encouraging people to continue the journey, that this isn't the ultimate encyclopedia, that this is just the beginning for everyone's continued journey.
I love it. I love it. That's a great thing to be proud of. And do you feel, was there a sense of, obviously you decided not to just revamp Artisan Vegan Cheese. So was there a sense in digging into all this? Like, there must have been such excitement in it for you, and revisiting some old stuff, but then also seeing where your brain has gone after all these years with all of that. How did that feel to unravel all of that?
It was really exciting. It was really exciting to get on the bench. And initially it was like, I don't know if I can do this. I felt like I hadn't really created anything in a long time, because I was busy running a company and really just more in the, the sort of the executive role, and not, I had some ideas, but I had very limited time on the bench. When I started writing the book, it forced me to really rethink everything again and explore things. And my brain, the imagination just blew up.
Yeah.
And it was just so exciting to get back there and find new ways to do things. And it was just like, oh my God, I'd wake up in the middle of the night. It's like, oh my God, I should try this.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I had a deadline of a year ago to submit the manuscript. And after I submitted it, it was like, oh, but wait, there's still this, and then there's that. And I really should have done it this way.
Yep.
And so even now I have, I don't know, for example, my new favorite ice cream is amaretto rosemary.
Wow. Okay.
That is a great combination.
Wow.
That didn't make it in the book because I didn't come up with it until later.
Yep.
And I found new techniques for making cheese that, it just keep that exploration. This was just the beginning, not just for all the readers, but it's still just the beginning for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love it. Well, then, room to go, perhaps a volume 2. Who knows? One day, maybe. Are you ready for your round of rapid fire questions?
Sure. I'm bad, but
here we go. Most used spice in the kitchen?
But right now, what a spice blend someone gave me called Edo Spice.
Oh,
Edo is the old Tokyo, so it's
okay.
like this combination of all these. It has sansho in it. Sansho is a Japanese herb, and it's really so it's got a really unique flavor. Right
Cool.
now, I'm using that a lot on on my stir fries and rice bowls and
Sure.
things.
Yeah. Yeah. Texting or calling?
Calling
Quiet morning walk or a late night stroll?
late night stroll,
Camping or glamping?
glamping. Thank you.
Yes. Beach sunrise or sunset?
Beach sunset,
Chocolate or vanilla?
chocolate.
Favorite pasta shape?
It doesn't matter as long as it's fresh.
There you go. There you go. Fresh pasta, we're gonna say, as
Yes,
long as fresh pasta, period. Sweet or salty snack?
salty.
Now, would you rather have the same meal every day or never repeat a meal ever again?
Never repeat a meal ever again.
There you go. Most used kitchen tool.
Oh, probably my cast iron skillet.
Hmm. Do you like to work in silence or with background noise?
I like working with other people in the kitchen.
Nice. Yeah. Do you prefer a big party or a small gathering?
Depends on the occasion.
There you go. Okay.
So big
Uh,
Christmas party, holiday party, and
yeah.
small gatherings on a more regular basis.
Love it. And your last one here, plane travel or road trip?
Oh, I think. Oh, come on. That one's hard. If I can take my dogs, a road trip.
Yeah, absolutely. I got it. That checks out. There you go. You did it. Well, listen, if you wish to be found, please tell everyone where they can find you on social media and the internet.
So my handle is usually Miyoko Schinner on any platform, and my website is miyokoschinner.com.
Perfect. And listeners, of course, you can go get your copy of The Vegan Creamery Plant-Based Cheese, Milk, Ice Cream, and More everywhere books are sold. And I promise you that you will not be sorry. Miyoko, what a gift. Thank you for another stellar collection that we can get food stands on for years to come, as I know we all will. And The Vegan Creamery becomes a staple in many, many kitchens. Thank you for taking the time to visit me again. It's always great to see you.
Thank you, Dustin. It was fun being here.
This has been a Muzzy Cat production.